on mute.
Start.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Where the hell are you at?
Okay, good evening. Good evening.
One of us is having problems with time right now, and it's probably not him.
Anyhow, well, good evening. Thanks for, I guess we'll wait for people to try to jump on here.
Hey, welcome to Elite Paranormal Society, our debut on YouTube. As far as we're going to go ahead and start trying to do some more Elite Paranormal EPS Para talks right here on YouTube. Yes?
Yes, indeed.
You have Freddie over here who's my co-host. I'm Robert.
So, one and only, the man, the myth, the legend.
Freddie, that's him right there. Hey there. All right. Glad to have you guys on. HSFL.
Welcome.
Paranormal.
Welcome.
Who's on for HSFL? Give us a hit. Let me just know who I'm talking to. Gina, thank you so much, obviously. Love having you on.
Thanks for getting back, Gina.
We're going to give it a minute to see if anybody else gets it. Again, this is our first time. We just put a few posts up. We really didn't give anybody warning, so if not, it'd be a very special.
Like I said, this is a casual, just a quick, spur of the moment.
Casual.
Hanging out on Saturday night. Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
Should have a couple other people jumping on. I know John, I think, is going to be trying to jump on here in a moment, so just bear with us. Can you share that out to our page? Do you mind? Thank you so much. We got Melody in the studio with us. Melody, say hey.
Hey.
Woo! Don't scare us like that.
Yeah,
Oh, it is John. That's who's. I got you. John,
Hey,
I had no idea that was you on the HSFL. That's cool. That's very cool. Got a couple things we're going to talk about. Might even talk about some situations as far as cases, trying to identify what's really going on at location. That would be a good topic for us to talk about, or Freddie to talk about at least, right?
Exactly.
You got all that identification stuff down like a champ.
Yes, I do.
So, Craig Williams, hey, what's up, buddy?
Amber.
It's been a long time. Amber, thank you so much for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Gina said hi, Melody.
Hi.
we just try to change it up a little bit.
How come she always talks nice to everybody else? Not
I don't
me?
know.
She doesn't talk to me, or hell, she doesn't talk to you that
Stop
nice
it.
either.
Treat me like-
See, listen to that.
Someone
Damn.
has to keep you two in line.
Good luck with that. True.
Just saying.
So I know we've been kind of like on halt doing things here
That we
lately,
have.
but it's just been with scheduling and your post-surgery procedure thing you had done with your arm.
And the fact that it's very hot in here.
It's hot in
very
here.
hot in
Hot here. So, but hopefully we get back out, get around to doing things. I know we're gonna try to do a couple of things before the bash.
Most definitely. Well, who's going to the bash? And if you guys are looking at this afterwards, we still want to know who's coming to the bash. We plan on being at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. Do you know the dates on that offhand?
August,
At the end of August.
like the 20th to the 22nd, I think it is.
So look it up.
Amber might know, but I think it's the 20th.
Amber's going to be there. Hell yeah.
Grounded Paranormal will be there. Jennifer, I guess. Tom.
Jennifer, Tom, yes. Definitely looking forward to that. Obviously, Amber, we love hanging out with you guys. Definitely have a blast with it. Craig, again, thank you so much for being on. How you doing, buddy? You hanging out okay across the pond over there? He is definitely across the ocean. John, how you doing tonight, bud? Hope everything's going well. Same thing, Gina. Again, when we do these are very interactive. So if you have a question, feel free to go ahead and post it. A couple of topics, 20 to 22nd, yes. Yep. And Grounded Paranormal will be there on the 19th.
We're going 19th, yeah.
So there's some people that are going to jump in there
that's
a little bit early.
Try to do, get there on Thursday evening. Yeah.
We like getting up there a little bit early. So, John, good to hear, buddy. I know you were in a car accident, playing bumper cars out there in the rain. So I'm glad to hear you're okay. Craig, glad to hear you're okay too, buddy. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I think we're going to try to start utilizing YouTube more.
Yeah, once we get it out there, people, we just finally got it to actually
sync up.
Yeah, so try to see what happens. See if it works out better.
I see our little ghosty is hanging out with us.
Yeah, it's a little boo.
So
yeah, and he's actually floating too. It's great.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's actually levitating.
What's the deal with that? Why is he hanging over top of the bottle?
Mm-hmm. Pretty cool, ain't it?
Can you show that he's not on the bottle?
Yeah, he is not on the bottle.
That is crazy.
He is not on the bottle. That's crazy. Just like he's floating there. But it's like our own little personal ghost.
I like it. He's pretty cool.
John said he hopes to make it to Gettysburg one day soon. So
that would be really cool. August would absolutely be ideal. Gina says she's doing great. Excellent. Poor woman. Gina, I feel for you, baby. You have been through the ringer and 3 or 4 times. Some. But she's always willing to go ahead and help out. I call on Gina quite a bit, lean on her quite a bit, which I definitely appreciate her insight as well. So all you guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us. And again, for anybody who looks at this afterwards, you can certainly check out our Facebook page as far as on Facebook itself at www.facebook.com/Elite Para, PARASOC /. That'll get you right to our main page. He's thinking about moving, huh? John, any idea which way you're moving, buddy? Out of curiosity. So let's talk about this for a little bit. When we get cases, and this is a pretty casual, so just bear with us a little bit. And you guys, we'd love to have your insight as well. When you're looking at cases, what are you looking at as far as for telltale signs of what might be going on? What exactly are you doing? How are you going about it? Do you pretty much let the client pretty much dictate the information? I mean, how would you go about that? You get a phone call and the client's on the phone. What are you looking for?
If that was me taking, for example, taking a call, I'd be like, with the client, I'd be trying to find out what's going on. Are they keeping tabs on everything? Are they keeping track on everything? Are they keeping a journal? Time, date, stuff like that. What's occurring? What's happening?
So that's one of the suggestions you would have if they're not doing that?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Why would you have them keep a journal or a diary or something as far as keeping notes? What's the importance of that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, are you looking for trends? Are you looking to find out if it's
Trends,
residual,
if it's residual,
intelligent?
Yes.
Gotcha. So it basically, like if we hear footsteps at a particular time, text us, holy hell. Yeah, that's a little bit of a move. Sorry about that. So one of the things we're looking for is if you are having issues or you have a client that's having issues and they keep notes, then by being able to go ahead and track and find out what's going on time-wise, we hear footsteps every evening around 8 o'clock. What's the potential that that's going to be in comparison from, is that a good possibility that could be residual or intelligent? It's always at the same time.
Residual. So
let's say, okay, you hear somebody going up the stairs all the time at 8 o'clock. Right about. I mean, within a minute or two each time, it's close to 8 o'clock. So residual being, definition of residual, general?
Like a recording.
Okay.
Play over and over again.
So it's already happened and replaced.
Right.
Can it interact with your residual?
No.
Okay. So think of if it was an old farmhouse and the farmer's going to bed at a certain time, say 8 o'clock. And so you hear him going upstairs, do. What's a way of being able to distinguish whether or not it's intelligent or residual, besides hearing it go up at each time? If you know it's going to go up the stairs, our ghost fell, and he landed on whatever you want to call it, and you hear him going up the stairs. If you were to make action as far as you say, hey, stop, and it keeps going, you know it's not interacting with you, which would be opposite of intelligent. If it stopped, hey,
stop. Now it's interactive.
Now it's interacting with you, so it would be intelligent. So just as far as in general. Amber says to keep track of everything going on and see if there is a pattern. Absolutely. That's what we're looking for, a pattern. And the pattern can be with a person, with a time, with a specific part of the house. Some locations we go to, the house has multiple parts, additions that were built at later times. And do you realize that in some of those cases, the activity or spirits do not interact with the newer locations or the older locations, vice versa?
Probably example, a lot of claims are people say, well, I've seen a spirit or ghost walk through a wall.
Yes. Let's explain that one.
But if you look back at the blueprints or how the house was done back in earlier time, not out of 10 chances it's going to be a doorway used to be there if you look at it. So they think it's still a door, walkway.
So would that be intelligent or residual?
Residual. I'm pretty good. Yeah.
That was good. I was proud of him. I'm very proud of you. That was good, guys. Good job. But seriously, I mean, how often do you see that? You do see where people talk about this apparition that disappears into a wall, and it's not that it disappears into a wall, as you said. Prior to some type of renovation, there was actually a doorway there.
Like we had a questionable thing in Engine 1 not when we did it, but one of the previous teams that I was on did.
All right. Fill us in.
And the basement and the walkway downstairs in the basement, there's a wall that has cutouts where there used to be doors at the locations. Well, we caught something that looked like a white mist, kind of like going through that area. So it was more of a, it could have been that the door there, tunnel. That was one of the doors going to the tunnels through the underground. Yeah. So.
John was talking about as far as making a list of hot spots, which part of the houses are active, getting a virtual lay of the land, gathering any evidence the homeowner has caught. Yeah, we definitely want to go ahead and have some documentation because we don't want to put everything into the homeowner's head. And when a big thing that one part that I'm very leery about is when somebody gives me a phone call, I don't want to sit there and, sorry, that's pixelating way too much. When somebody gives a phone call, I don't want them to control the entire phone call, and you shouldn't, quite honestly. What you want to do is and I'm sorry, it has to do with being a really good investigator. I think you really need to always try to keep control and not let the person who's calling in have the full, complete control. If you have somebody that wants to create a story and they already have it planned in their mind, as they're telling you, they're telling you certain parts of it. So one way that we're also thwarting any type of mischievous people on the phone itself calling in is we want to ask them questions and change subjects readily, if that makes sense to you. By doing so, it makes the client have to go ahead and think and go back up a little bit. And that's very, very important because a lot of times you get a little bit better details by doing so. Craig said, we'd like to welcome all the old and new members, a live feed. Appreciate it very much, Craig. You go, boy. That's it, man. Sorry, I'm not downplaying your age or anything. John's talking about he usually has 5 pages of notes on his laptop before he enters the house. All right, so you have your notes. Let's say we get the client to go ahead and take notes. What's your next step? You've got the notes. You're looking for any particular trends, and let's say your hot spots are the kitchen and the bathroom. Let's just say are all your hot spots. 2 in particular that everything happens. Do you put all your cameras in those 2 locations? Do you put no cameras in those locations? Do you put a camera in one of the locations and not the other location? How would you go about it, out of curiosity? When we're talking about cameras, let's go to that first. So if you could, just let me know. No, you keep sharing. I appreciate it very much. So riddle me that one if you guys don't mind. Craig, what would be your incentive, your idea? If you have, let's say the kitchen and the bathroom are the hot spots, and you have multiple cameras, are you going to put a camera in each one? You're going to put a camera in one of them? You're going to put a camera in neither of them? Craig, I don't know when we're going to go live on Facebook, buddy. We're going to stick to this YouTube first. Let's bear with us. John, you're talking about as far as taking notes. That's great. So you're looking at your, no, I will set up 4 cameras and then set 1 more on the upper level, then use handheld. Okay, but I'm a little bit lost. You have 2 hot spots. So bear with me, John. Are you putting any cameras? 15 cameras doesn't really, and again, more power to you for however many cameras you have. I'm just asking out of curiosity. And I'm just trying to get your honest answer. If you have 2 hot spots that you know the activity is happening in, do you cover both of them with cameras? Do you cover one of them with cameras, or do you not cover either of the hot spots? That's the first question I have for either. And Amber, if you would give me how you feel. Train the man cameras on the hot spots. Okay, John, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Craig, what would you do, buddy? Out of curiosity, and I'm serious. I really want to know what you would do if you had the opportunity. You go to a location, you have 2 hot spots. Amber says I would point cameras pointed at the hot spot directions, but I always point them in put them in other places.
Chris T said both, definitely.
Okay, and that's fine. That's fine. Craig, I'm waiting for you, buddy. Come on down. Tell us what you think.
Did we say hi to Chris?
No, we didn't say hi.
Hello, Chris T.
Hey, Chris T.
Thanks for joining.
Definitely, thanks for jumping on. Now, I'm just going to tell you my way of doing it because, obviously I'm fortunate enough to have Janie on the team, which is great. I'm going to talk about Janie a lot most of the time as far as about that. I don't cover all the hot spots. I would also set up where I have an environmental tool, a audio tour, and a visual tour on those hotspots during the investigation. Okay.
I think he was meant tool, so tour, audio tool and a visual tool on those hotspots. Right?
All right. Now the way I set up, and again, you do what works for you, and this is just the way I set up. Whether it's Janie or the clients have said, hey, activity happens in the kitchen and the activity happens in the bathroom. I'm only setting up cameras in one of those locations. Can you tell me why? You know why, right? Or do you not? Do you know why I would only set up in one location? Even if Janie says, and she'd go, bro, I'm telling you, if you put a camera in there and you put a camera in there or you put audio in there, you're going to catch it. That's where you're going to catch it at. And that's what Janie would actually do. Tool, not tour. I got you. I'm sorry. My bad. I would look where the hot spot is most hot and add camera in there and put EVP in the other. All right. So you put a recorder in the other, is what you're saying, right, Craig, buddy? All right. So what I do instead.
Are you good?
What's that?
Are you good?
What?
You said it hurts.
Yeah, I just
you're
put my arm on the table. Personally, what I do, look, out of my experience, I know they avoid cameras. They really do. And that's my experience. So I don't put a camera in both of them. And it doesn't matter if Janie's going, I'm telling you, it's right there and it's right there. I'm pointing out a bathroom in the kitchen. Doesn't matter. I'm only going to put the camera in one location because quite often what happens, and again, this is just my experience, our experience. Right. When I say I mean my team. I mean, don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong on that. I'm not saying me as in one person. But what happens oftentimes is the activity will be happening in a room and we'll have a camera facing a different way. Yeah, I'm making the progress regardless about the arm. Sorry, I'll get back to you, Chris. So what I'm doing is, I know they like to avoid the camera. I know they do. I mean, it is, again, and this is just my personal belief of what we've experienced.
Well, we had it down at the KOA.
Yes.
Where I was having all the ball activity going on, and every time you come in, the ball would stop. And then you would actually take the camera outside, and then the activity would pick back up.
And then I would try to sneak it in the doorway. Right. I mean, I would have it on a tripod and sneak it in the doorway, and what would happen? I'm
telling you, if you guys could have actually been there or witnessed that, you'd be like, okay, they actually see the camera, and they stop. We're like, oh no, we ain't doing it in front of the camera. But if you take the camera away, it would actually do it.
And again, I'm not knocking what anybody does. And if you can sneak it, you can be sneaky enough, hey, more power to you. I think that's fantastic. And then you just have to look at how often are you really catching activity on camera? And you have to look at that. We have done that a number of times and at each camera, we end up leaving like probably 10 or 20 foot extra cable right underneath the camera. And that's so that we can pick the camera up and move it. And we've done this several times. The activity's happening in that room. I've got a camera facing us right now. The activity's happening over there. So I take the camera, I turn around, and I point it right there. What happens to the activity?
It goes either behind it or somewhere else.
It just drops. Yeah, it's not in front of the camera anymore. And this has happened over and over and over and over again.
If you're dealing with a intelligent haunting or intelligent, spirit, what says that they can't see the lights on the camera or see the camera itself?
Well, the IR lights. I'm a strong believer that the IR light is red, and I really believe that they're going, hey, big red truck, I'm not going to be in front of it. That's just me. Chris says they know. I've got audio saying things about recordings and cameras. It's even said Facebook, etc.
Yes,
it definitely makes sense. Amber's talking about. And again, this is just our experience, and we're just sharing. So that's why I love hearing your guys' experience as well. And if you catch stuff, fantastic, wonderful. I'm not saying it has to be our way or anything like that. Never have. I'm just giving you the way we look at it. And even with Janie, if you have somebody who has abilities on your team, it's really important that they understand that you're not trying to do that to offend them. As Craig said, I would put a recorder out in the other location. Don't get me wrong. I definitely would like to try to catch something. And to John's point, try to be crafty. Being crafty is good because if you think of it as being a human spirit, now don't get me wrong, they can read our minds a lot as far as what we're thinking is actually energy. So when we think it goes up, and a lot of them can collect that and know exactly what we're talking about. But if you can be crafty about it when you go to set things up, and you can hide your cameras like John's talking about doing, fantastic. It's no different than hiding a recorder. That's a good idea. Hiding recorders are perfectly fine. We use drop recorders. Drop recorders where you're not walking with the recorder into a specific room. You're already laying it down somewhere and you're just letting it run to see what it captures.
And we drop a lot of recorders
Yes.
in location. We'll put, I mean, up to 10, 12, if not more, just different spots.
John's talking about I like multi-spectrum infrared cameras. I use at least 2.7K footage or 4K. And the clearer the video, the better by far. I mean, not everybody can afford to go ahead and use 4K. Absolutely get that. But infrared is infrared. It's a red light that a lot of those on the other side can see. Amber, to be honest, it's rare we catch things on camera. It's all audio, and certain things will physically happen to us. Amber, absolutely freaking agree with you. Absolutely agree with you, and that's my point.
Right.
If you actually look at most of the stuff that comes out on YouTube or any other video, how often is it compared to daytime? And I'm not talking about the nighttime with the bugs and shit where people are going, oh, look, it's an orb, and you can see it's clearly a spider on a web, okay? Skip all that, and I'm not trying to be mean towards those people, but skip all that and think about it, though. When you start seeing this chair that moves, a lot of time that's on the regular daytime camera. It's not so much on the nighttime camera. There are some things that happen on the nighttime camera as well. And even those, when you're looking at a video and you're watching it, just so you have a clue, if you really can't see what's behind it, I mean, if you've seen where the lockers are across this wall, and then yet all of a sudden the lockers are getting pushed out, what's on the other side of the wall? Now, we know from talking to people that have set up certain videos like that, they're on the other side and they're pushing the lockers because you can't see them. So it looks like the lockers are rocking all sporadically, and you're thinking, holy shit, but you don't know what's on the other side. And that's the problem we have with a lot of the video. When you have video that's very limited, it's only like 2 seconds long or 10 seconds long, why can't we have more before? Why can't we have more after?
Right.
The Gettysburg, when it looks like there's something that slips up the road next to the cannons and everything, and come find out, they had the windshield wiper was going, and if you look at the extended version, you'll see a line that comes down, you see a little piece of dirt, and if you watch that dirt, as they're driving, all that is moisture going. What happens when you drive? Moisture will actually go up your window, it'll start crawling up your window.
It looks like it's moving.
And it looked like in that one that there was 2 apparitions, and it was simply water moving up the windshield, and you could see, if you actually look beyond just looking at those two, you could see the line from the windshield wiper. So sometimes we don't really see everything. Sometimes it's easy for us to get caught. Some places ghosts don't mind being noticed. I have lots of captures. Southport House. I've been recording there for a month. I'd like to definitely see some of those by far, and John, get a chance, definitely like to see some of those. It's not too often that we're going to get stuff, and it's not as common that you're going to get to a location and that they're out there just, you know, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. It just does not happen. I wish it did. If it did, we'd have lots of video of it. There's a lot of people with cameras out there. The audio is number one. Now, if you can be crafty, again, John, if you're hiding stuff, fantastic. That's a good example. They have shades, looks like sunglasses, and it's actually got a camera, tiny teeny little camera in it. We actually have a couple of them. We've got them. We haven't even put them out. But if you can think about that and you turn them on ahead of time and you just set them down and you go about setting your stuff up, drop cameras. We have people that definitely use static cams and whatnot, and sometimes they catch some interesting stuff on it. But the majority of it is audio. Audio is definitely your number one type of evidence that you're going to come across in this field. Yay or nay?
Yes.
We get a lot of audio, and it's not so much the audio that just, hey, you heard a sound, you picked up something, especially when things are responding to you. It's really impressive when you get something that specifically responds to you. Chris, yes, I am getting some motion out of it, which is really cool. The only problem is I can't bend it but so far up towards me, but at least I can deal with the I can feel gravity really well with it right there.
I can feel that.
It's pretty amazing. It feels like it's broke. But again, if you have some really cool catches from video, that's awesome, but not as much is going to come up on video as it is going to be audio. So your audio itself, your video you need to go through, but your audio you definitely want to make sure you go through and maintain. So We've got a journal, a diary. We've got the clients going ahead and keeping notes, so they're letting us know as far as what they're coming across. Thank you, Chris, very much. It's a little bit daily thing. So you're keeping notes, which is fantastic. Now, where are we going to go from there? As far as you got the notes, you're going to look at the notes. Now you're trying to figure out, okay, where a couple of the hot spots are. That's cool as well.
Well, sometimes, we will actually go and visit the client at the location.
Sometimes before the investigation.
Yes.
That's what you're referring to, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're having a pre-walk, basically.
Right.
Go ahead.
And you also want to be observant when you walk in.
What are you looking for?
Everything possible.
All right, tell me. Give me some examples.
Medications, if they're out in view. I mean, we don't go around open up cabinets and stuff like that, but if it's
plenty of people that do.
Right. You check for that. You check for stuff around the house. Just kind of look at how people live. Just the basic stuff, and just kind of get their how they actually are, like get a feeling of how.
Do they have candles out? Have they been possibly practicing themselves some type of Wiccan activity, some type of activity? It doesn't have to just be Wiccan, obviously. Do they have any paraphernalia out, drugs, anything like that? And you'd be surprised, there are plenty of people that are not shy about having their stuff out by far. What kind of videos do they have? Do they have a collection of videos, and it's mostly demons and this and that?
Well, here's a lot that I know we personally been a couple places. They're like, yeah, we have videos of all this stuff happening. And then you go there and like, oh, well, it's not showing up on my phone, or it's not showing up, they don't have it.
We've had that a lot.
Right. So, is that the fact that something did happen and it somehow the video got deleted or whatever, gone, or is that just people making up stuff and saying, hey, this was going on. I have video, I have proof, I have this, and then.
Let me ask you that. While we're talking about video evidence, now, have you guys ever had video evidence that has changed or disappeared or erased? Honestly, have you ever seen something and then you go back to review it and you've got it, you go back to review it and it's not wiped, it's gone? I'm just waiting for you guys to respond. I'd really like to know that.
Chris T said literally she was about to review her audio from Thursday, but we decided to do a talk, so she is here. So we thank you, Chris.
John, you're absolutely right. Mental disorders, great point. Alcoholism, drug addiction, sleep apnea, insomnia. Definitely the behavior of the clients themselves, and especially when you can do a pre-walk. When you have the ability to do a pre-walk, fantastic. It's worth doing. Cool, Craig. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Very, 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 very cool information. So if you do a pre-walk or you get to the day of the investigation, you go there. Your investigation is continuing, looking for ritualistic or occult or fanatic type of ideas, items in the house. Absolutely. These are all great, and these are all great for anybody who's jumping on here afterwards and you're actually reading through these. You really should be reading the comments right now, because there are some very, very excellent comments. Your investigation starts prior to, no matter what, even though, I'm not a big person on sharing all the research of a location with my entire team. I don't. That's a cookie cutter scenario approach that has been broadcast over and over and repeated on TV. TV is not the most ideal way of going about your investigation. Again, just my particular attitude or perspective. When you can go in, and some people can go completely open-minded. Freddie will typically be very open-minded because he doesn't get any information, no different than our medium, Janie, doesn't get any information. Melanie doesn't get any information. So we go to a location, they don't have the details. So now I'm going to be listening to find out what they come up with in comparison to what I already know about the location. I typically do have some of the details because the client's usually talking to me. Why is it that I'm not sharing that information with you?
Because I don't want to go in with a mindset of already what's happening or what's occurring in the location. So.
There's a child in the bedroom, and that's, we've heard his voice, this, that, and the other. People get wrapped around that wheel. They just focus on this child.
And it's like, and not knocking a lot of these locations that people go pay money to go do it, but they tell you all this stuff that happens, until you go, and this is what you expect to see or hear. You automatically assume, okay, well, where's the shadow people at that everybody's seeing? You see everybody focus on that area, or what? I mean, just go someplace where there is no claims or whatever to see what happens. I mean, it's just.
So, case in point, we go to Gettysburg. There's so many people that are going to go to Sachs Bridge.
Yeah.
Sachs Bridge is cool, but we're not going to stay at Sachs Bridge. We're going to go out across the field. We're going to go out down the river or down a little stream, whatever. We move into other areas not far away from it, but there's no reason you can't. Why not?
Where not everybody goes, or the common areas. You know,
could be grown up, could be tall weeds, could be whatever, and yet we go there. Gina, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I was not leaving you out of that. I'm just looking at the names that are in front of me right now. So I definitely appreciate that. Gina was talking about not an investigator, but audio has disappeared. It's not all, but part of it. And I know John was talking about the same thing. Yeah, Amber, I'm glad you found some new places. She is a researcher. She will definitely, she's like a pit bull.
And that's what she does is like, there's other places than the common spots that everybody goes to, Devil's Den or the wheat field or the triangular field, all the hot spots. And there's fields everywhere, even outside of Gettysburg was all part of, that no one knows.
So going back as far as for the potential, or does data disappear? Yes, is the answer. Back when we did the world's largest ghost hunt, we were with them for the first season, and there was 26 teams that had plenty of their 26 teams out of the teams that were doing it definitely reported losing a lot of their information, a lot of their data. I mean, it just outright left. We had 2 DVRs ourselves set up. We had one of the team members that was attacked. We had 3 DVRs running to it. I myself was the one who set that up and checked it, make sure it's running, make sure it's recording. Nobody messed with it in the meantime. And out of all of that, the attack that had a camera right by it, pointed right in the direction of where the attack happened at, we got nada. We got a total of 9 minutes out of all 3 of those that were running all night long. So that happens. Amber's got a list. I love it. Fantastic.
Well, it's like me and Freddie up there at Daniel Lady Farm one time. We're inside the farmhouse, and my camera is auto shooting without me ever touching it. And I'm just like, why is it doing this? The only thing was blurred pictures.
Craig, yeah, I'm gonna have to get some shirts made up, buddy. We haven't even set up anything as far as the shop or anything, so we'll get to that. I know you've been looking for some. That's a good point as far as cameras that either don't work or do decide to work suddenly by themselves. Melanie literally had hers was actually clicking away,
and it was off. Her camera was off at the time because she had 2 cameras. She had one she was using, the other one was off, and okay, unlike myself, Melanie does this regularly for locations. Basically, Melanie's a professional at it as opposed to some of us that are not professionals, but yet her own cameras are deciding when and when not to take pictures. I mean, you have been in locations where it wouldn't take pictures.
Oh, yes.
Between data and batteries, I have such issues, especially houses I've been investigating, Southport, North Carolina.
Well, we all know my experiences. The Dana Lady Farm are just phenomenal, and I'm working my best to get in there.
You had the experience with the video from the Devil House.
Multiple, yes.
Where we had the double. Whatever.
So we had one camera for the Devil House that we had filmed. We had one camera going in. Explain this, John. You're very savvy when it comes to computers. So explain this to me for a moment. And you can go on right now. You can actually go on the Facebook. You can actually go through all the videos. If you go far enough back, it's 3 or 4 years ago. If you go back to that at the Devil House, you'll see what we're talking about. We had one camera, one feed, but 2 videos immediately posted when we closed out for that round. And that round in particular is when the client's girlfriend ends up getting jumped, means temporary possessed, where her mindset, she can't remember everything that happened. She just knew certain things were supposed to happen. With one feed, how do you get 2 videos that post? One without the attack and one with the attack. We didn't change anything, do anything. I mean, the video camera was running and it was only one feed we had going in. So how did 2 of them post on Facebook? And neither one of them are edited. I mean, if somebody can explain that to me, that would be pretty
John had
impressive.
a
I'd love to know.
GoPro battery start smoking. That was brand new at the house that I've been at.
I was called in to help out a location where the cameras were talking about like cinema cameras. I mean, really nice cameras. They've got all kinds of, the shoulder mounts, the whole 9 yards. Pieces started like unbolting and falling off right while they're holding it. And we've had multiple things. And I've seen this actually happen as far as different things go wrong with a camera that just don't go wrong with the camera, and yet they happen. Same thing for the batteries. It's no different than we've had a number of times where we have a location where we have the batteries to a camera or piece of equipment or multiple cameras. You go into a particular room and the batteries show dead. Say, nope, we're dead. You walk out of the room and the battery now is fully charged.
Fully charged. Yeah.
You sweep the room with an EMF detector, there's nothing wrong with the room. But if you go in there to go ahead and use a video camera again, it goes right back to...
It starts flashing to dead. Yep, low battery.
We've had that.
Yep.
I've had locations where, including the one where it was being taken apart, I was originally brought in to go ahead and actually keep it so they could keep on filming. I would treat it with holy water and a few other things, and lo and behold, the battery would never get drained. Seriously. So how do you attest for that? How do you account for it? And yet plenty of people have seen that happen, which is pretty amazing when you go with that. So, all right, going back over, we've got the clients going ahead and keeping as much details as possible. We're looking at the details ourselves. If we can do a pre-walk, we do a pre-walk. Go ahead and hit that one.
Amber said, my battery started smoking on one time at the new location I went to, and they were put in the right way. And we did it. We checked batteries. We change batteries out, make sure it's full before we do.
Well, Amber hit a good point. If you put batteries in wrong, if the battery portion is for some reason, especially customized equipment, sometimes they can actually wire it backwards. And so you put the batteries in the right way and come find out, they short. So that's why you get some of the burn. In most of the cases we're talking about, that wasn't the case. It was actually, everything was like it was supposed to, and yet it still starts smoking, which makes no sense. Can you have equipment or a faulty battery every once in a while? Sure. But should it be the amount that we've heard and we've experienced ourselves? Right. It gets pretty extreme at that point. So again, we turn around, we've got the clients call, they have a particular issue. We're trying to get them to document as much as possible. That is extremely beneficial. Is one individual being targeted is one of the questions we have. Is multiple people being targeted? That's a big deal. One person being targeted every time we get information, it's starting to tell us what's happening at that location. One day, if I ever get a little bit faster at it, I'll go ahead and release a book that's going to give you a lot of this information that I'm talking about, but it's what we've learned on locations. If there's an individual being targeted, individuals are usually targeted by an entity, or by all means, a human spirit will target an individual, and a human spirit can also go ahead and target everybody, by all means. I'm not saying that's not the case. The more extreme, entities will go after one particular person, especially if that person's having, such as an entity, it's an attachment, or a person's hearing a particular voice all the time, the same voice. You all right? Mm-hmm. All right. Somebody might have that particular issue. So we're looking at who's being affected. So when somebody's writing down the type of activity has happened, the date it happened on, the time that it happened on, we also want to know who was there. It's very important. Sometimes it could be a very young child in the room. That child could end up having so much energy, and that's why you have these shadow people that are coming to visit or other activities happening. I am not by far saying that that's the reason for poltergeist type of activity. So just so you're on the same page. I don't believe in the preteen, and that's because she's got chemical imbalance, and that's what's creating all hell on earth. I don't believe in that personally, but that's just my view. Yours? What do you view?
No.
Same
thing.
So again, but knowing who's at the house kind of gives us some indications as far as what's going on. Just trying to catch up on a couple of notes up here. John says the problem with finding out what at this house in Southport is there are so many different layers, family history. Sometimes we get way too caught up in worrying about the research, John, in all sincerity, and I'm sorry, I'm cutting to the chase. Don't get so wrapped around trying to figure out everything that is going on, because we get, Yeah, I understand children are known to produce PK. Where are you getting that information from? And you want to go ahead and check that out. The old thought was poltergeist activity was created by preteens, especially females. Good luck with that. That was the old belief. It's a lot less common besides the people that are reading older documentation. If you go to a house that is having such activity, you're going to find out it's lesser and lesser likely that because there's no children in the damn house in the first place. Got a house in Florida right now where people were getting hit by different things, getting pulled off the beds being flipped over. A woman got hit by a box fan. It's an elderly couple that are Hispanic. There's no children in there. There's no children creating it. Can children create it? Can adults create telekinesis or being able to move anything? I'm sorry, being able to move anything as far as with the ability to be able to move. Very little documentation has been done on it. Do I believe it can happen? Absolutely. I've got a friend or two on here right now. I know damn well have been able to move things in the past. I'm not saying it can't happen, but in the point of what you're seeing, the extreme, field experience is going to be your best friend, regardless of what you read out there, regardless of who says what to whom. Your field experience is going to be the best thing to find out what's going on. So before you worry about so many layers, again, the ultimate goal is to help the client. And there's a couple of proven ways that we have that have helped in every situation. And that's what we stick to. Again, I don't care what the religion is for the people. We've had people that are Muslim and they'll be like, and ours is basically Christian based, but they don't freak out, even though they're Muslim, they don't freak out that we go in there. And it's like, look, as long as you don't mind us doing this, you still practice your religion. That's not an issue. We're going to do it this way. And I've had people say, hey, look, well, can you change your prayer to this? No, I'm sticking with what works for us. Okay. What works for somebody else is completely different. What did Amber say?
I don't like knowing what has happened. I like to feel it for myself because I'll be honest, if I know certain things have happened at the location, I look for it. So no, I don't want to know anything. So she wants to go.
Right. She goes in blind.
Yeah. Blind.
And again, if you just think for a moment, just what Amber just said, but you go and you look at all these teams, because the teams, all they do is mimic. Quit mimicking. Learn. Quit mimicking the TV shows. Stop, please. Just a suggestion. You can go ahead and keep mimicking. That's all up to you. But that's all you're going to be is a TV show, just like the TV shows. And unfortunately, not all TV shows are real. Okay, a lot of them are strictly for entertainment. Please know that. Think outside the box. Do things different. The idea in the past was, hey, everybody's got to do research. You got to know everything that's happened on the location before you go there. Wrong. Sorry. Going to piss some people off. Wrong. If I take him in blind and all of a sudden he gets this feeling, I more want to be interested in what he's picking up on or what Melody is picking up on that has no idea about the location. It's like taking a medium or a psychic and you go, okay, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. Can you tell me what's my next step? What the hell? I mean, hell, at that point you have a carny. A carny can turn around and go, well, if you're over 40 years old, I really feel like you've lost somebody significant in your life. Well, what 40-year-old has not lost somebody significant in their life?
At one point in their life, yeah.
So don't give in to that all the time. Be your own voice. You can learn things from everybody. You can learn what not to do just as much as you can learn what to do. So slow down. I do have evaluation on the properties physically as well. Before I start bringing out equipment, I can usually pick up on spirits pretty well. And you have to look at that. John has abilities. So if you take somebody who has abilities, let's just take Janie, for instance. I'm not going to use John because he's on here right now. If you take, thank you very much, Craig. I appreciate that. The book, Investigating Paranormal Ghosts and Spirits, that's the book that I wrote. That was straight for, if you want to be better than the average investigator, it's nuts and bolts. It just takes you right to it. If you have the ability the senses to be able to go ahead and feel or see or know certain things, that's great for you, but unfortunately it's not evidence. But if you can document that, and in this case, Janie will turn around and she now sends me everything so that it's dated and timed, okay, time-stamped. That's really, really important. So she'll send me the messages, what she's getting or a read that she's getting before we go to the location. So John, have you ever done this? You turn around and you put down everything that you're getting from the location. Everything you're reading from that location, you're putting in, you send it to somebody so it's time-stamped, okay? When you get to that location, how much do you actually go ahead and confirm? How much have you actually confirmed of what you picked up prior to going to that location? My hand does not hurt right now. This is great. How much have you actually confirmed? And it's very, very important because honestly, how many times has Janie said that there's a child?
It's so weird because it's not weird. It's actually pretty awesome, I think. But Janie would just send Rob, hey, boom, this, then I like 2 weeks, boom, something comes up, and she hits the nail right on the head, and it's just like, really?
No, we're not talking about something generic. Oh, there's
Right.
a woman in this house that's causing havoc. Stop.
Yeah.
That's 50-50. I know, you're right. There's more than just a male or a female, whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not believing in that crap either. But anyway, regardless how you look at it, she's giving details, the type of house, the color of the house, what's happening specifically in what location of the house, to whom.
Right.
Hey, there's a very young male that is being scratched and is pushed and is having a problem with his right shoulder. And this is happening in his bedroom. It's on the 2nd floor. Those are details. Those are dramatic details that Freddie's talking about that I get ahead of time. 2 weeks out, a month out.
Boom. It's like, wow. Yeah.
Josh says, sometimes I can feel the activity before it occurs and I've caught it on camera. And again, that's fine, but you also have to document. You're documenting and you're confirming. Amber's the same way. She can feel a lot of things that are going on by far. Now, what we need to do is we need to confirm that, which is really hard for most paranormal investigators, is getting that confirmation. You can feel it. You know it's going to happen. What exactly has happened? But you have to put it out there prior to it happening. If you don't say it, you feel it, but you haven't done anything to go ahead and say, hey, somebody's going to get shoved, and then next thing you know, Melody's getting shoved. Okay, if you said it, great. Teresa from Australia, fantastic at that. How many times has she done that? And she's in Australia.
Amber said, at our last location, I was definitely trying to tune into my abilities, and when we got there, I kept thinking about witchcraft, and I was like, why am I thinking of this? It was confirmed they did it. So.
To Gina's point, as far as children being known to produce PK, I believe it because children are more open to the abilities and society has not gotten to them to teach them that it's either bad or whatnot. Again, I absolutely believe people have the ability to the extent of what people are talking about in the very hostile poltergeist type activity. I don't call it poltergeist hauntings because it's just a hyper activity. The hyper movement of material is poltergeist activity. It's a type of activity. It's not an actual haunting. I know I differ with a lot of people in that belief, and that's perfectly fine. People can believe what the hell they want to believe. I've got locations like that. I've been at locations like that. No different than having chairs, boxes, or whatever else stacked up. I mean, suddenly it's happened. You turn around and walk into another room and material is stacked up crazy quick. Do I believe that some little girl sitting in her bedroom going, No, not honestly. To Gina's point, I honestly believe in what Gina's saying. We know children's minds are much more open. Are they doing things to torment and haunt themselves? Nah, sorry, you're not going to convince me of that part. And then she's definitely on the right path. They have not been brainwashed to believe what they can or cannot do. And that's, I believe, honestly, what her point is. John says, I usually will get a full electric surge through my body before it happens, and it takes my breath away. Gina, yeah. So again, let's back up for a second. We've got the list. We know where the hot spots are. You're deciding where you're putting your cameras up. When you're deciding on your locations for your cameras, here's a suggestion, and it's just a suggestion. It's something that we definitely do. If I have a single flight of steps going up, or I have a single flight of steps going down, or I have a particular doorway, I'm putting a camera at that location. Why am I putting a camera at that location?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
To see who's coming in or who can go out.
It's really important, because if I have some activity that happens upstairs, I can look at that camera and say, okay, well, I just had a crew go upstairs, so I know that might have caused some of the particular activity. If nobody's gone upstairs and yet we've got the camera gets pushed, let's just say, let's use that as an example. The camera moves, but nobody's gone up the stairs.
Right.
That's my documentation. That's what I'm looking for. Was anybody up there or not? So definitely having a camera in that area is a benefit to you. Spirits come in and out. I'm a little lost. I'm sorry. I missed what he's talking about on that one. Spirits coming in and out.
I guess it through him, I guess, through his body.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
I think, is that what we're talking about, John?
And it's fine. Again, everybody understand when people have abilities, everybody has abilities, picks things up in a different way. Yeah, some people, you might have several people that can, quote, see them, but not all of them see them in real time. Not all of them see them in color, black and white. Some of them see them as like a vaporous image. I was where you put cameras by. Am I reading that wrong? I was where you put cameras by doors. All right. Wow. Okay. You lost me on that one, sir.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you were drinking more or if I was drinking more. Either one of us. Again, it's really important though, as far as when you look at that. And I was referring to you talking about why you would put cameras by doors. Yeah. Spirits coming in and out. Yeah. It's not so much just the spirits, it's also the people themselves. Because we can see, the average person is watching for who's going up the steps, who's not going up the steps. If nobody was going up the steps and all of a sudden you've got the motion, the REM pod, something going off, speech, no wonder speech to text. I got you, John. My bad. I didn't know if it was me, if I had too much Coke to drink or not. But if a REM pod goes off, I want to know, did somebody go past it? What started it? No different than the people with orbs. Anywhere in the house, if we're downstairs, like right now we're in a room downstairs. If I shut a door, if you don't think that's going to create some type of current all the way up through the house, you're out of your mind. We've proven that over and over. Just by shutting a door, just by walking through this room down here, I changed the airflow that's happening upstairs. Something is going to change.
Well, it's times too where you can walk in a different room and a door in another room shuts. It's all because where you walk on the floor, a lot of the flooring will cause it to.
Absolutely.
And Absolutely. It shuts. I mean, and it happened before. You're like, okay, well, let me walk back here again, and it does it again. So. And
it's retracing, and it takes time. It's not like everybody's going to have that. So, again, I'm going to back up one more time as far as, all right, we've got all the notes. We've got the clients keeping notes. If you have the chance to go ahead and do a pre-walk, that's wonderful, because you want to keep investigating. When you go on a location, it doesn't matter who you are. Anybody on a location should always be investigating. And investigating doesn't mean just trying to find the paranormal. We're trying to find explanations. Is the person hallucinating because they're on medication? Maybe they're smoking drugs. Maybe they're drinking way too much, as John alluded to earlier. Maybe they have other paraphernalia. Maybe they're into witchcraft and you see melted candles, and that's their thing. I'm not knocking witchcraft. Please do not think for a moment that I, of all people, that I'm going to knock witchcraft. I'm not. There's not a whole lot of difference in a lot of things that we do, but we want to give other people a hard time about it. So you're always looking at that while you're investigating, and we're always watching the client. This is a big telltale sign, watching the client. More importantly is watching the animals that are at the location. Sometimes you got to quit worrying about the client and start focusing on the animals. Animals aren't there to fake you out, okay? Sometimes a client can go ahead and their imagination can definitely get the best of them. Being honest, come on, be honest. We know that happens. When you're young and you turn around and you psych yourself out because you're home from school, you're watching the scary movies late at night, there's nobody else going to be home, then all of a sudden noise happens and all of a sudden you lose your mind. In the old days, we had the home phones actually had a very loud ringer to them. Holy shit. It only rang when it was the climax of the peak of the movie or whatever was happening. Zing, 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 zing. All of a sudden your phone would ring, you lose your mind. And from there on out, everything that made a noise, you were jumping at, okay? Animals are not like that, honestly. Animals are not freaking out because their imagination. They're a lot calmer than we are. So if you can get people or you yourself can start watching the animals, that's a big telltale sign. If somebody's saying, oh, everybody's freaking out, but the animals are always calm, you got to kind of start looking at that perspective. What might be freaking them out? We know children are going to react to the way the parents are, most likely. Most children will react, especially young children are going to react. If a parent is home and a parent is scared, the children are probably going to be scared. They're going to fall into that. John says, I also take into account things like limestone deposits, geographical areas, running water, also takes ley lines. Craig says, GG. I did one day pick up on a person getting a heart, and with a 10-minute live on the camera without person knowing about it, was picked up, person got scratched, large cut out there. I'm getting horrible at reading, I guess. Trying to get this dog physically was when he was brought into the house. I was last night.
You want me
I'm trying to catch up.
Do you want me to help you out with it?
If you can.
Where did you stop at?
All right, go to his other dog.
His other dog and his cat both died a week after moving into that house. His wife also miscarried a week after they moved into the house. I don't know if John was talking about another part I missed.
All right. So animals are a big deal, a big key for us, especially with negative activity. What kind of negative activities can actually cause the loss of life for a pet? What about you guys? You guys tell me. What can a negative activity cause the loss of life for some type of animal or pet? If so, can you throw it up there, please? Gina? Come on, Gina. Throw it up there. Christy, tell me. What's that?
4 minutes for the hour mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just throwing it up there to you.
Cool. Yep. Yes. Yes. All right. So both of them hit it absolutely. Animals are absolutely susceptible to negative energies by far. And stress, no different than a human. They can be stressed out till they die. Let's go to the other extreme. You want something that would blow your mind, and again, you can believe what you want to believe. I've had cats, dogs that were dying of cancer at a location. I've had animals that were like every day, animals were dying at a particular location, and we've gone out to the location, or I've gone to the location, and I've treated even the ill animals, and the next day they are perfectly fine. No cancer, no nothing. Go figure. Okay, so. And again, you don't have to believe that, but if you do understand where I come from, if that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what the hell it takes to blow your mind, because to me, that's amazing. Get a dog that hasn't eaten in 3 days, it's about to die, and suddenly it's up eating perfectly fine.
Running around
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
All right, so what kind of spirits can turn around? Does a human spirit usually affect a animal as far as to actually kill the animal? The answer to that simply is no. A human spirit does not usually go ahead and go after somebody's doggy or kitty or anything else. There are negative, and the first, cats. Cats are horrible. Unfortunately, I know you're going to hear, hey, cats protect against negative energy. Let's go ahead and play that game. Wrong. What they are is they're a indicator that negative energy are around. So no, that's not true. Sorry to pop some bubbles out there. Kitty cats, unfortunately, don't fare well with very demonic energies, quite honestly. Not saying every area, every location that something dies at means it's a demonic, but demonic has taken out a lot of cats. When you have other animals that are dying, guess what? The Native Americans. Don't rule it out. Native American spirits, if you piss them off bad enough, because they have been so wrong for so long, but they are the most tied in. They have the ability to be most tied in with spirits. It's amazing. There's plenty of people that have, I don't doubt that you lost your cat, Gina. My gosh, what you got going on? Wow. Definitely had locations where horses were being killed, large animals were being killed. That was Native American. We've gone out and done a peace offering to them to appease. We also explain. We don't just go in, hey, we're going to go ahead and drop some tobacco out in the field. Hey, we're going to just plant a cedar tree. Regardless of what you believe in that, there's not a barrier to communication. Communication is intent. And ultimately, no matter if it's Native American, from whatever tribe, from whatever period in time, if you go out there and you preach what your intent is, you're apologizing, you're explaining what you're coming from, the people here have nothing to do with what happened in the past, you can't help that, but you're giving a peace offering, you'd be surprised how often all that goes away. And we've done that. And there's been no more dead animals at those locations that we've done that at, including horses and whatnot. Horses that were perfectly fine, perfectly vetted. They've looked for any type of injury to them, any type of gunshots, anything that would have taken them out like that. The difference is when we've done the offering as opposed to when we haven't. So when things suddenly stop happening, eventually you're going to have to start looking at it and going, hey, there's something to this that's working right. One location where it was affecting her horses, Gina lost her cat. Human spirits can affect animals negatively. They will usually pinpoint. Can you go up just a hair? They will usually pinpoint out where they are. I believe it's a demonic spirit that can actually physically kill animals. Yes, John, I believe the same thing, a demonic can. I'm not saying a negative human spirit can't go ahead and affect an animal, because the animal can definitely go ahead and know that it's there. But I don't believe that typically that a human spirit is actually killing off any of the animals in general, just in my experience, our experience, sorry. Demonic energies, again, kitty cats are definitely a target for a stronger demonic energy. Doesn't mean at every location. Find digging the pool contractor described bones illegally. Gotcha. Discarded bones illegally. That happens a lot. So Native Americans, when you impede on a previous area that was used by Native Americans, especially a burial area, yeah, very bad juju. That can be much worse than any demonic location that you've ever been to, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. And it's just because they're trying to be protective of that sacred land. You know what I mean? It's not that they're out to really honestly attack the individuals, but they feel like they've been attacked and trespassed against again. So slow down as far as when you're looking at it. Regardless, I'm going to jump to the chase, get through all the different types. There's tons of different types. I mean, you have entities, you have attachment entities, you've got gens that aren't even entities, that are negative, like creature-looking things. It can be a nasty leprechaun that's coming out of the corner of your room. It doesn't have to be even looking human-like. Those are just kind of in a smaller group by themselves. Again, you have the two different types of entities where you have an entity at a house. It's usually a closet that you're absolutely scared of, terrorized of, and it can even be adults that are scared or terrorized. No different than the child that has the invisible friend, the imaginary friend. Yeah, not always imaginary. Don't get caught up in the elemental side. Elemental is a whole nother one. Elemental is a vortex of energy, basically, that is just there to suck up energy. It sucks up energy from the living. It sucks up energy from the non-human as well. All of them try to avoid the elemental. It's not the same. The Native American is not an elemental. Definitely different in that regards. But then you have demonic spirits. You have people that have used or have prayed to, done devil worshiping. That's another one. So it's not just down to one. There's also some religious occult. Okay, going to the occult side of it, again, devil worship, anything that's like that. That can absolutely create some very bad, bad experiences for a lot of people. We've had locations like that. It's been pretty incredible. Knowing all these different types, there is some techniques that you can use, and that's what I do. We've gone to all these, and it's the same type of technique we use. The prayers changed just a little bit. What does Gina have?
Was under control. She was getting better. It kicked back up. In a week, she went from starting to get sick, developed a mass in her neck, throat that went from not there to very large and killed her. The cat.
Oh, the cat. And again, it's unfortunate. And it's the most unbelievable thing when you go to a location, and I go to a location and the dog is not getting out of his bed. I mean, he is whimpering, he is dying. You can tell he's dying. You feel bad for him. I put a little bit of holy water on him, do a little prayer. And the next day the owner is saying, hey, my dog's great.
Yeah,
it's like
around wagging, yep, happy.
it wasn't the expectation. You know, you just feel bad for an animal, but I'm just saying that there's higher powers that are beyond us that we don't understand all the time. Craig, that's cool. It's not a big deal that you changed your name. We appreciate that. Thanks for letting us know, though. I personally believe in a higher power. I don't believe that I'm doing it. I don't believe that Freddie's doing it. I think we're calling attention to it. Colette, thanks for being on, sweetheart. Appreciate it.
Hey, Colette.
Don't ever apologize to us. Again, this was kind of a random thing that we did.
Trying something a little different, so on YouTube instead of Facebook.
But we've been having a great conversation. Definitely appreciate it. Those that are on, we don't have very many people on right now, but it's been a very good interactive conversation. We love having this interaction. As far as actually getting rid of negative energies at locations, and we have done this several times, and there's a bigger picture that happens. And I'm going to skip out for just a second and actually talk about my personal situation here, just so you guys have a clue. I had an individual reach out to me months ago, and she was like, hey, you know, told me all the things that are happening, said, can you help me? I'm like, I'm just the opposite person you want to help you. She believed that she could go ahead and she could utilize these demons. She could go ahead and give things to them and sacrifice things to them, and they are going to help do her bidding, blah, blah, blah. I'm not making fun of that. There's plenty of people that do that, unfortunately. There's a lot of people that do that, and they have no idea what they're doing. And they get to a point in their life where they believe that these negative energies, regardless if you believe them, doesn't matter. It's what they believe. They believe that these negative energies are basically their only friends. They're the only ones that really have their back, and they fall lower and lower and lower and lower. They lose their jobs. They live out of their cars. They have all kinds of crazy shit happen to them. Life gets lower and lower. And the whole time they think the only one that's got their back is going to be this negative energy. And so they keep giving to this negative energy. So when the woman contacted me about this, I said, look, I'm sorry. I'm the least one that's going to help you, because I'm not on the same side of the fence of negative energy. I'm just the opposite. You know, I like the good guys. Woo-hoo, let's win. JC, let's go. Knock them out. So she understood. She wasn't nasty or anything. I said, look, she kind of sounded like the person needed an ear from time to time. And I always want to be there. We're all like that. Melody, myself, Freddie. If we can lend an ear to somebody to help them out, we want to help, okay, in all sincerity. Well, months later, I had told her at the time, and I completely forgot about it. I said, look, if you ever want to talk, feel free to go ahead and reach out. Hit me up. I'll be glad to go ahead. I'll take you for coffee, whatever, and we'll go talk. Just not too long ago, she reached out, and I didn't even remember that conversation, quite honestly. I talked to a lot of people. Right. And so it wasn't until I was just about to meet her that I actually realized who this actually was, which is horrible, I know. So I turn around, we sit down, we have a conversation and everything, and now she wants to do away with all of that. She wants to get away from the demons, whatever's going on with her, whatever. Now here comes the problem. As an investigator, to what John alluded to earlier, now we're always trying to say, okay, what is mental illness and what is not? What is mental illness? What is paranormal? Because it's a very fine line a lot of times. I can look at the individual and I think, from looking at perception of the person, hey, you know, is this person doing drugs? Is this person doing whatever? Long story short, I spent a lot of time with the person, and at first she's saying she's going to get rid of these demonic energies. And so we start going through some steps as far as for that. And eventually some very crazy things happen. Crazy things happening being, we have signs. And if you've never believed in signs, one day you'll wake up to the understanding that there's divine intervention. There's other things that are trying to go ahead and let us know about things. I meet this person, I engage with them as far as have activity with them, and suddenly a person at my job site is going, hey, I had this crazy dream about this demon. Never talks about this stuff at all. It's like, what the hell? Are you sure it wasn't just a monster? No, man, I knew, Rob, it was a demon. Okay. You're saying, you know, okay, what else? Big deal. You're right. Absolutely. So I leave the job that day and I start to go ahead, and the first light I come up to, I pull behind a car and the license plate is Lucifer. Random as hell, right? I get you. I'm on page with you. I'm like, okay, demon at work, Lucifer tag, right. Whatever. My mind's playing a trick on me now. This is funny. Go down the road, and there's this decal that looks like a demon. Whatever. Okay, now my eyes are playing tricks on me. Get up to the last light before I get to the hotel. 6660 tag in front of me. Like, whatever. Get to the hotel at one point in the evening time. I can tell you exactly where she came from. She was about 7 feet away from me. I hear this woman say, "I don't like you here." Clear as day. I'm like, wow, I know where the voice came from. I heard her say it. There's nobody there. There's no vent in that area. Okay, my imagination still, I get it. But to what point at this point? Next morning, I turn around, or next day, afternoon, I'm turning around. I am in the hotel room by myself, and I'm at the sink, and something rubs across the calf of my leg, very elongated. Kind of almost felt like it was furry, but rubbing against, but I have jeans on. So I look down, and sure enough, there's nothing down there. Cool experience. I hear a female voice again later on that evening. "I don't want you here." Clear as day. Again, know exactly where she said it from. No recordings, no tricks, no whatever. At what point do you finally start thinking,
okay,
there's something going on here? What the hell is going on? During this whole time frame, of course, I end up picking up a piece of wood and popping the tendon off my bone.
Tearing.
I mean, like, gone.
Tearing your tendon off the bone, yeah, on a piece of plywood.
I pick up plywood
right
normally. I mean, I work in construction, so it's not like a normal thing like I was picking up some crazy ass weight, honestly. Yeah. But when you start to put these together, you have to slow down and start going, hey, what the heck? Doesn't stop there, because people that are around me start having signs as well about snakes, this, that, the other. And at first we think, okay, no big deal, it's a sign about a snake. But if you start adding more and more, you start looking at it on the broader, there's a lot of signage that we typically overlook. I typically would overlook. And even when I'm getting, okay, he has this dream, I'm putting it on one side, I'm going, note to self. On the other side, I'm just trying to write it off. Then I pull up behind Lucifer. Ironic, isn't it? And I'm thinking the same thing, just like you. That's pretty ironic. But eventually, it's like, how much coincidence is coincidence? Before it gets to a point where it's not coincidence. Well, yeah, John, just like you're talking about, like the fact that I was supposed to be at this supposedly demonic location, ended up getting in a horrible car accident same morning. Past week, car accident, been having recurring dreams of me dying in a haunted location on a house, in a house particular. Again, so you have to start thinking about that. No different than when we talk to clients. We've talked to plenty of clients, and we can't even talk to them because their phone starts cutting up on us. True?
Yes.
You asleep?
Not yet.
I'm sorry. Well, it won't be too much longer.
No, you're good.
But John, yeah, just like that. So there's a lot of things that happen out there signage-wise that also gives us some indication of what's going on. To the point, can a energy at a location reach out from that energy? Doesn't mean that it moves. Can it reach out from that location and affect somebody else?
Yes.
That's not at that location?
Yes.
Correct. So explain that one. Go ahead.
Goes for 200, please.
There you go. You're doing fantastic. Woo, woo. Got it. So yeah, so a lot of times it's an intimidation factor where something wants to reach out and actually prevent you from coming or the person from coming. And this has happened with priests. It's happened with other investigators. It's happened with demonologists. It's happened with an array of people where all of a sudden they feel like they're being attacked and they haven't even got to the location.
Well, I told Freddie that one time you all went to that one place that Janie told you she had things, and I told Freddie, I was like, something came to me at night, plain as day, said they would hold your heart in his hand. And that's where you had that one experience.
Right.
Where you were like, I've never had one like that before.
Is that the one where I felt like I was inside of it?
Yeah, where you were.
That was too cool. No, that was cool. See what I mean? That's some bad.
But then
awesome
again,
stuff.
The trip going up,
yes,
I get scratched again.
You got scratched while we were driving up.
Right, and it happened a couple times. It happened that way. But one on the leg, and a couple times on the back of my neck, and it's weird because we're just driving the road, talking, doing our live stuff, and then I'm like, oh, hey, hey, Rob.
And his hands aren't even going up. I mean, he's sitting here, talking and everything, and all of a sudden he's like
you can almost feel the dragging, like, and I'm just like, okay, well, and I don't wear a shirt to have tags, okay, not at all.
We've done this live how many times and had it happen.
Weird.
And like for Freddie himself, he usually gets very thick scratches. You know, it's funny because certain individuals will get very skinny scratches. You typically get a very thick scratch.
Stuff like that.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they gotta make a water bed.
Hey, so any other healthy people out there, do you usually get thick scratches or
Or
thin
you
scratches?
get really thin scratches.
All right, so treating the location. I'm sorry I'm jumping around, and we're definitely been rolling on time, and we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. One of the things I'm doing, because it's like I've got a gentleman down in Florida at that location. He's like, you know, I've burned so much sage. They're bound to have sage lung, or instead of black lung, you know.
Sage lung.
Sage lung. So it's white sage, so I guess it's white lung, whatever. But they should already go ahead and, you know, the sage is only part of, for us, is part of the cleansing ritual that we do. And it's a ritual. I don't care how you put it. So, all you guys that want to go ahead and freak out on Wiccan or any witchcraft, hey, we're doing the same shit, and we're doing it by Christian standards. So, because we're doing prayers, what is different of the prayers. So before you get to a point where you want to go ahead and call anybody out because of their religion, think about your own. So I use sage, use holy water, and I use prayer as the main 3 ingredients that you physically see. There's also the intent. We're turning around. We have, what did Colette have?
Colette said, I had some bad things happen to me, mostly just bad luck in 2018. I came out at work. I had no money. It took me ages to find a job, but I got through it. I am fine, but I have great friends that helped.
Beautiful, Colette. Love hearing it. Be glad you're not a Murphy. I'll tell you all kinds of bad luck stories.
Friends are awesome to have. That's for sure.
Amber says she's only been scratched once, and hers is thin lines. So next time you get scratched, Amber, and no offense, you'll get scratched again. But next time you get scratched, I'm just curious if they're thin lines or if they're thick. Out of all the messed up places I've ever been, the only place I ever get scratched was after my attachment by a dark entity in my own home. But let's see how long that holds up, and hopefully it does for you, John. Hopefully that holds up. So again, not only are we treating the location like with the sage is to push out the negative energy, no doubt. But what happens when the sage goes? So you go, you do the sage. Okay, we get it like Cheech and Chong, so you can't see where you're walking. Everybody's coughing. Wonderful. You did a great job. What happens when it disappears? Can something come back in?
If you invite it.
Something can absolutely come back in. Okay, what's keeping it out? Okay, yeah, the smell, the sage, hey, it kept it out. Wonderful. One of the steps we're taking is with the holy water, we also are creating barriers. And again, this is what up to each individual. A barrier is at any point of egress or exit, access or egress, anywhere something can come in or out of a location, be it a window, a drain, a door, and even the closet or mirror. Okay, why not go and cover everything? We go ahead and we're placing this on a cross, claiming it as God's territory and saying nothing is not of God's love, and this is how we're doing it, I'm doing it. Nothing is not of God's love is allowed to enter this location from this day forth. So we're now placing all these barriers up as well. And how effective have they been? Extremely effective. So we've got that, and we're also doing the prayer. Prayer is where we're calling in for the divine intervention. Again, it's our intent. Our intent is to get rid of the boogeyman and keep the boogeyman out. And you have to go on your own belief system. My belief system is, you know, I'm going to use God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ, the whole 9 yards. And I'm asking them to come in and fill this location and get rid of anything bad. So that whole combination packaged together, not individually, and I only do a piece here and a piece there, and I'm doing it throughout. That's what has been extremely effective for us. Not the only way. There are plenty of people, whether they use witchcraft or whatever, that have been able to go ahead and clear out locations as well. I'm not saying that that's any different. I'm just telling you what has worked for us. That has worked for entities, that has worked for demonic energies, that has worked for very negative human spirits. That has worked for Native American. The difference is we've also used peace offerings for Native American locations.
Now, this is just a random question. Can you get bad sage?
I love that question because you're going to hear online, number one, you can't buy sage. Wrong. I only buy sage. If everybody wants to give it to me free, let me know. Love it.
Well,
people say that a woman on her period cannot go ahead and get the sage either. Wrong. Stop with all that crazy juju stuff. That's false. Go ahead.
The sage that I use, it doesn't get rid of anything negative.
Sit, turn the camera off now.
I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm saying it doesn't get rid of negative.
Are you
Yeah, you're
serious?
still in the house, aren't you?
Colette, that's an extremely good point. Sage used in the house actually does get rid of, it's like 95 or 98% of airborne bacteria. It's extremely high and it's extremely good. Just be careful with people that have respiratory issues, which you can also get the spray, but be very careful with people that have respiratory issues and birds. Birds have a very, very light respiratory system. Woke up with pillows soaked with blood and even saw dark entity standing over me. People that have sleep paralysis, or John in particular for yourself, you don't have to always burn the sage. Even the smell of sage, negative energies do not like.
Right.
2 hours before you go to bed, take a sage bundle, put it in your room, and shut the door. Let that smell permeate the air that's in your room. Go to bed. It's not going to hurt you while you're sleeping. You're not even burning it. Just put it like on your headboard or somewhere close by. Most of the people, I'm not saying everybody, but most of the people that have done that used to have sleep paralysis or have issues at night, sleep like a baby. If it works, I'm not knocking it, but it has worked a lot. John, when you go to a lot of locations like you do, which you do, you go to a lot of locations, you're also open, you're going to be a target, brother. Unfortunately, you've got to know that that's going to come your way as well. I get you a Native American reservation. I saw they have many types of sage to use for different things. Native Americans have been using sage for an extremely long time. But if you go and you're a Christian and you want to back up and go to what the 3 wise men brought for baby Jesus, what was it? You guys know? Gold is one. What is the other 2? Claude, I think that's a great idea as far as using the sage, but it's not going to hurt anything by far. But again, people go, well, I've used so much sage and everything, they should be gone. Why? The sage is gone. Now what have you got in return? What else did you put out there? And again, it's not just the intent. It's not Harry Potter. Sage is not, hey, I like this and I walk by and it's all gone. It doesn't work that way, guys. Right? So people, when you hear comments where people say, oh, it didn't work or it pissed them off, it will piss something off, if you only go part way through it. Yeah, there you go. Good time to use it. Was definitely through the COVID part of it. I don't doubt that. So you had frankincense and myrrh, were the other 2. Why? Why would they have been given, gold we understand the financial of gold and myrrh, yes. So why would it have been frankincense and myrrh, out of curiosity? If there was no value to it. So what was the value? Was the value to keep the negative away? Yeah, you tell me. The point I'm making is that, don't knock things that you don't fully understand. If you haven't used them, definitely don't knock them. We have no reason to go ahead and promote things just to promote them for a fun time. I mean, we've shown while we've done them live, we've done plenty of live cleansings. We show you exactly what we do. We're only showing you because we're hoping more people will get rid of negative energies. Let's be real, because we just want the people to be able to get back to their life. We get nothing out of it. We get nothing for it. We're not charging anybody anything. We just want people to go back and be able to live their own lives. That to us is extremely important. I've done it on the phone with plenty of people from around the world, where they'll put me on speakerphone and I will say everything, and I just have to have them do it as we're going through it. And I tell them everything they have to do, and they've not had an issue. Shay, if she was on here, she was the last person that's actually on here that I've done it with in her house, and we actually did it where she was FaceTiming me so I could see what she was going into. I saw the door getting pushed back against her. I know she was scared when she was doing it, but she's never had another issue since. Eventually it gets to a point where it is not all imaginary. There's something more to it. Problem is people don't use this part as much as they need to. So when you're looking at things, again, get people to go ahead and start documenting. When you get to a location, try to look around, try to see what else is really going on. And I cannot emphasize enough, knowledge is power. Knowledge is for, you need to have knowledge, but we need to also make sure that the client has the knowledge. They need to know what's going on, why it's going on. And we need to shrink down that invisible something into something that they can comprehend and say, oh, I've got something that's only 3 foot making all this noise. Oh my gosh, 3 foot tall, as opposed to what they're believing is 8 or 10 foot tall. Once you can go ahead and you can start controlling that, you can also start controlling their imagination, which is a very big deal for you if you're trying to help them go ahead and get on the top side of it. My apologies. I know it's been kind of a long, I know, Freddie, but you did great, brother.
No,
I apologize.
No, you're good.
It's a conversation I'm always about.
Right, and this is what it's about. I mean, this is what we do it for. We talk, interactive,
We love sharing. We love sharing information, and that's a big deal to it by far. And
Absolutely.
If we can help people get back to living their lives, you can't beat that.
We will do what we can.
And we have. We've done it for a lot of people. A lot of people. And there's different ways you can check it out. And again, we can say every once in a while it's going to be the placebo effect. But when you get dogs and animals, cats, whatever, that are acting perfectly fine when you're done, that's wonderful. It's awesome. John, I know you've got a couple of cases down there, a few cases going on down there. Hopefully some of this give you a little bit of indication as far as, and it's your choice who you bring in to do what with. It's just watching what you do. Don't give away everything that that might be your ultimate game plan. Don't, I don't like to go ahead and give something negative my playbook completely. When I do it, I want to come in and do it type thing. That makes sense. So, guys, we're going to get ready to jump off here. Melody, you got anything offhand?
Nope. Other
Freddie?
than
I do.
Freddie's
No.
going to get choked on the way home.
I know.
Saying negative.
He wasn't on here, but today was Jeremy York's
Hey!
birthday.
Oh my gosh.
So, Jeremy, sorry to say late, buddy, but happy birthday if you see this. Jeremy York.
Jeremy York. So if anybody has seen him on Facebook or you come across his Facebook feed, please wish him a happy birthday. We definitely appreciate it. Fantastic guy by far. Gina, thank you so much for your support. Colette, we're so glad you're getting a chance to get back out. I know you guys are all looking to get out from the COVID and whatnot. Glad you made it to the other side. Hang in there with us. It seems like it's almost over as far as for what we've had to go through. Unfortunately, I know Sandy up over in Canada has been dealing with an awful lot, but you're going to get there. Hang in there with us. And if you're coming to the bash, we'd love to see you at the bash. So we will be doing some more YouTube lives. Hope you can join us for more.
Yes.
Whenever Freddie kicks me in the gear.
Guys, share from your standpoint if you can share out. So we appreciate it. So.
The pic behind us, Moundsville. So if you've not been to Moundsville, now you have seen part of the entryway of Moundsville. Moundsville, West Virginia State Prison. Definitely very, very cool. Amber, I know we're going to be seeing you there, so that's going to be fantastic. Gina, I wish we could get you up there. I would definitely love to hang out with you, Gina. That would be great. Guys, we're done for the night. Love and light. If you need anything, give us a holler. Thank you so much.
See you guys.